So another thing we can do with NS lookup, and it depends on whether or not someone's really watching what they're doing with their DNS servers. But what I can do is I can go through and just do a standard NS lookup for hackthisSite.org, and it tells me the different IP addresses. Now, again, I'm going to do a set type. One of the types of DNS records is called an SOA, which is the start of authority. Or remember we saw previously when I typed in something? Well, actually, we just saw it here where it says a non-authoritative answer because Google is not in charge of it. So I'm asking here, who's going to be authoritative? And who's going to be authoritative, or who's the start of authority for hackthisSite.org? And it tells me that it is ns1.hackthisSite.org. Okay, fine. Let's exit out of this for a second and let me ping. Let's get that IP address. Ping ns1. That's name server 1 is what they did here. HackthisSite.org. I'm going to just break out of that because all I need is the IP address, which is the 188 address here. So again, I'm going to go back to my NS lookup. And this time, I'm going to remember we could type in, I'm going to change my server. I'm going to say use the server 198.148.81.188. So now whatever I type in, it's going to use this DNS server to do the resolution. Well, I can do my set type equals to any, meaning any address. And then I can do a ls-d and then hackthisSite.org. Now, what this is going to execute for me is it's going to do what they refer to as a zone transfer, which basically, it depends on how they've set up their site again here, is if it's not set up correctly, I'll actually implement a zone transfer and I'll get back responses. Good, they've done their job. That would list every single computer name or DNS name to IP address. It would show me the MX records. It would show me the A records. It would show me, if there's a www, if there's an FTP, maybe it's FTP 1 or FTP number 2. Well, without me trying several different variations to find out what each one of those names are, this would be a very easy way for me to pull all the names out. Again, all I'm doing is executing that against their own DNS server. Now for giggles, let's set our type back to be equal to MX, and we'll take a look again at the mail servers for hackthisSite.org. And one of the things I want to take a look at here when we look at this information is notice this number right here. So what this number represents is the order or the preference of which server responds first. The lower the number, the higher priority it has. So you can see they've got a couple of redundant ones here with the Google Mail information, but their primary mail server is this aspmx.l.google.com. Now, had this previous zone transfer worked, I might have actually seen the TTL, and the TTL is the time to live. And if somebody has their time to live set too long, for example, if they set it for 3600, that is actually equal to 1 hour. Well, that means I could poison their DNS. And if you think about, well, what do you mean by poison their DNS, Dale? Let's take a look at this. Let me exit here for a second. And I'm going to go into a file. This is just for demonstration purposes here. It'd be the equivalent of doing this on their server, but if I could infect their DNS, I'm going to go into my Windows directory, System 32, drivers, etc. And there's a file in there that's called the host file. I'm going to notepad that bad boy. So this is a host file, or a file that's looked at by the computer before it actually goes out and gets the DNS server, but I'm going to emulate the same thing. What I can do here is I can go through and say, let me flip back here real fast and you get an IP address. I'm going to do a ping real fast of yahoo.com. I'm going to take that IP address, and we're going to come back to our notepad. And I'm going to type in that that IP address is equal to google.com. If I was to save this, then if I tried to go to google.com, my computer would actually go to this IP address, which is, in this case here, Yahoo. So the concept here is that if I can poison your DNS, I can make it look like, at least for an hour, that any traffic, let's say that's going to Citibank. I don't know if you have any employees that have Citibank accounts, but if they're trying to go to Citibank, they would actually go to my IP address, which I could actually have a website that looks very similar to Citibank's. It's really not. But I would give you a screen that says here, type in your username and password, and then I would forward you on to Citibank from my location. Therefore, I've gone through and I've actually captured your username and password. So again, very, very important as far as DNS is concerned and what we can find.